Hi, hello, this is Jules the Human here, and welcome to the JulesTheHuman Anime Hour. I'm one of your hosts, Jules the Human, and every week we go out into the world and watch a little bit of anime, and we come back here and talk about it. And today we're talking about Grimgar of Fantasy and Ash. We are talking about it for the final time. This is the last time we're going to rate it. We're going to put it on the list. We're going to put it up there and pick a new anime, not today, next time. Next week, because we have something very special next week, and we're going to get into that whenever we get there. But here are the anime that we're going to be choosing from, and these are a ton of anime. I added the two new ones, Bofuri and Trigun Stampede, so we're going to be picking one of those next week after we do the thing. But we're going to be talking about Grimgar Fantasy and Ash, and I'm not on this anime journey alone. I've been doing this for a year with my co-host Matt Galley. Matt, how are you doing today?
Man, oh man, to quote the Haruhiro from the show, I am not the same person I was yesterday.
Okay, yeah.
That I'm so excited to talk about the show. There's a lot of things that I have to say about it. There's a lot to dive into, and also I'm very excited for our announcement for what we have in store for next week, because like you said, we've been doing this for about a year now, and we're gonna bring our season to a close, so to speak, and move on to a fresh one. But we definitely have something special in store for the in between.
Yeah, I mean, when I thought of the idea, when I wanted to do something like this, and I was like, I want to have the incentive to watch more anime, and I want to stick to it because I knew myself where I was like, if I don't stream a game, I'm never going to play games, and it was very difficult for me at that time. So when I wanted to like force myself sort of to watch more anime and branch out to stuff that I didn't know or wouldn't usually pick, I knew the only person that I could bring along was Matt Galley. So I knew that he definitely bring something to the conversation. He's way more versed in anime and anime manga culture and stuff like that. So it's been super fun, and we're officially ending season 1 because it's been a year, and then we're going to start off fresh after next week. So we got to end this one. This is the last one for season 1, Grimgar of Fantasy and Ash, and we have a whole lot to talk about. So let's get right into it. Episode 9. Also, hello everybody watching live on Twitch and watching later on Spotify or YouTube. Episode 9, Grimgar Fantasy and Ash. How to rest. What happens in episode 9?
The show takes a second to slow down and showcase a day off for the party. We get to see each of them enjoying some pastime pleasantries before they eventually meet up at the tavern in the evening. They learn that their hunting grounds has become far too dangerous for the time being and decide to venture onto new grounds, Cyrene Mine. This being the place where Mary lost her old friends, she steps away from the group to calm herself down. Haruhiro follows Mary, where she shares her desire to overcome her fears with the help of her new friends. Haruhiro has a training session with the thief guild master before the party sets out to this new dungeon.
Oh boy. Hello, Bubsy. Hello, Spooky. How are y'all doing? But they're taking the
So,
day off.
yes, they're taking the day off. It's another like shopping-esque episode, but I mean, there's been a considerable amount of development that has happened since the
Sure.
last time the show really stopped for them to take a breather,
Hmm.
which was before they lost Minato.
Yeah. I like it. I enjoy this reprieve because it does feel like in the last episode it ended pretty heavily. It ended a little arc there, and then we're taking some time to vibe, and it does show some really cool stuff. I mean, we
Mhm.
see Renata catching fish. We see Yume doing some climbing. Moguzo just vibing after he's been doing some cute little woodwork there. But like all
And I love
these,
how, like, they're doing this. I'm sorry to cut you off.
no, go for it.
They're doing this, and you get to see them all in like these. They made a huge, big deal, a whole part of an episode dedicated to, our clothes are falling apart. And I
Hmm.
love getting to see them all in these downtimes, and you can just see how well clothed they are. They're not wearing like rags
Hmm.
and tatters anymore. So
Holy
it's
underwear.
like it's just kind of uh contextual storytelling as they have been, adventuring and,
Sure.
gaining money. They're going out to the tavern more often and drinking and, not worrying about those types of things because of how far they've come from where the show started.
Sure. We have Haruhiro trying to figure out what to do on a day off. He doesn't really know what's going on. He
Do
doesn't
it.
know what to do with himself. He's
They
kind of there.
should be worried about something.
Yeah, literally everybody right now. I'm like, I'm taking a break for a couple of days for the holiday, and I'm just like, I should be. What am I doing? I should be worried about something. What's going on? Don't know how to calm down. So I definitely feel his vibe. The Damuro goblins are causing trouble, so they have to go to the Cyrene mines. And I don't know if it was me overlooking it or I don't know. Did they mention that they knew that these were the same mines? Like it felt like they were like, "Oh yeah, we forgot about that." Like
Yeah,
it
that's what I
felt
mean.
okay. It wasn't
That's
just
how I
me.
felt. No, yeah, 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 because they
Okay.
all they all went to their her old party mate that explained everything and who it was death spots that did this stuff. So the fact that Haruhiro is just bringing up like, oh yeah, it's actually death spots that's down there. Like to me, it's just showing they all remember very clear as day, like
But then
that
they don't
they don't
remember
remember
that
that part. Yeah.
the Mary's whole party. Oh yeah, this is the main thing about your backstory. Oh yeah, I forgot. You let three of your members die down there,
And it's
and
like, is it because they have been together for so long and adventuring for so long that they just kind of let that, pass?
that's why I didn't know. I was like, wait, are they acting like they all forgot?
Yeah,
Like, what's going on? Because this
because
should
it's
have been
not
like a
showing
huge
her it
thing.
wasn't showing her reaction all
No.
that entire time, and I'm like, "What does Mary think? Nobody's
Yeah.
checking in on her." And then she just stood up,
It
and I
just
was
feels like super odd. Like,
yes.
if like I know a couple core things with my friends where I'm just like, hold on, I can't just be talking about this, or I can't be like, I got to say or if I mention something, I'm like, wait a minute, he had a bad history with this video game. I don't know. Something like that. You would have that at the top of your mind if y'all were friends, right? Like,
Yeah,
there's not much that they know. They know how to fight. They know how much coin equals something to buy stuff. There's nothing else they're doing. This is one of the monumental stories of what's been happening in their life as we see it, and they just don't even take Mary's feelings into
feelings
account
into
there, and
con yeah.
it was just kind of weird. I don't
It
know.
felt it felt a I mean, I'm only okay with it because she did get up and, like, step away from it,
Hmm.
and he didn't chase her down like, and kind of, like, force her to feel like it's okay that, they're
Sure.
trying to do what they're doing, like, she's the one that kind of, found the willpower to,
Hmm.
put her feelings forward and speak them out loud, and that she wants to overcome this, but she knows that it's something she can't do alone. But
Sure.
it definitely felt a bit contrived into how nobody in the party had anything to say about the mine being brought up.
Hmm.
Um, but again, like, nobody would have brought it up if, the city hadn't been overrun by goblins. It's not like they were just looking to, go somewhere else. It's just their current hunting ground's just a bit too dangerous. So, like,
Hmm.
I know what they're trying to do, but it definitely felt a bit fumbled in the moment.
Yeah, it was just a little odd. Hello, thickest. You say had to pay to chat on Twitter. That app sucks, anyways. Howdy. You have to pay to chat in live. I didn't know that. That sucks because I streamed this on my Twitter account as well.
That's silly.
That's really weird. Well, hello, welcome. Thank you, everybody watching live. We have something very special to announce later on after we're done talking about Grimgar. I really hope you stick around so we can talk about that and you can hear it. They paid. We found out Howard Hero paid Silver to learn a new skill, Spider from his master, and then the real interesting part that I'm super interested in was the whole streak of light questions to the
Mhm.
master that she sees it, that she also has this phenomena. It happens once or twice. It felt like it doesn't happen as frequently as he sees it, which is
Mhm.
very interesting to me. And I was like, okay, what does this mean? What's
Sure.
going to happen? And we don't get a resolution here, but we do get more information about like that. This is a thing. It happens.
Yeah.
Breathe, relax, and it's a skill that you learn over
I
time.
yes, and we don't see like up to this point, I wish we would have had him trying to execute it, and then like because of their teamwork coordination, like or even in one of the next episodes when Renata almost hits him, like have it be like when he's going in for one of those, Renata almost hits him, and the it breaks, and he
Hmm.
doesn't understand why.
We didn't
And
see
then
any
because
times where it failed.
it worked every single time for him. And then she gives him advice, like you were saying, like just breathe, stay calm, yada yada, stay clear headed. And that's, that's all fine and dandy. But I just wish before or after we would have seen a time where it didn't work,
Yeah.
and him have to kind of come to terms with that. But we don't see a failure, misuse of it, at least in this season.
No, and I know it has to be a certain way where they're protagonists and they have to not die so the story progresses, except for the one. But like it all feels like super perfect timeline where this is main character. I don't know if it's main character syndrome, but they all seem too perfect in that way where it always works. They always figured out. And I'm going to mention it later on in episode 11, I think, where I had an issue with it. But yeah, I like you're saying, I wish it would have shown a place where their teamwork was off and it would have failed and it would have been like, I gotta, I gotta overcome this, or we gotta work together better, or something like that. Because right now I don't feel like they're up against any hardship other than the ones they put on themselves, which is we gotta go to the serene mine. Oh no, Mary has this whole thing, which is fine. But it feels like now on the trajectory that they're unstoppable as characters themselves. They just have to work together and figure that part out, which is fine. But I don't know. I want a little bit more. They're on their way to the Serene Mines, and we get into episode 10. I'm not fit to be a leader. So what happens in episode 10?
So in episode 10, the party begins to make their way through Cyrene Mine with Mary's counsel to help them along the way. After making it to a certain point, Haruhiro decides the group should return to town for the time being as to not get complacent and comfortable. Haruhiro makes an attempt to talk to Renata about the fact that he seems to not be meshing as well as the rest of the party does. They don't seem to come to an understanding and are both left just with the insights about how the other is feeling. Waking up the next day to find Yume training and Moguzo cooking, the party starts their day before traveling deeper into the mines. Finally reaching a lair that seems to operate within its own climate, their journey is cut short when they realize death spots the kobold nearby, sending Mary into a state of panic.
God. Claire says, we've always known you were not fit to be a leader, but we love you anyway. It's not a big deal. Matt can take change. I don't know. I don't know about okay. New skills. Every cobalt has a talisman that they can take back. I do mention in my notes here that Haru sees the light again. And the way that they're talking about Ranta as the second tag is really interesting. I like that stuff. I like that talking about gamified mechanics, about, getting a party together and what your role is. I like
Mhm.
that stuff. And I wish there would have been more of that, because I feel like they don't really talk about the role of the two girls that they have there, really. And it seems like Ranta is the main focus because of what comes later. But like him and Haru, that talk was really interesting as well, and really cool that they had that, because he's thinking about his role in his own way, and they're
Yeah.
trying to understand Ranta, because up until now, I really don't care. I
Yeah.
really don't care about Ranta. Who gives a fuck? He's super solo leveling, whatever. But he's misunderstood and he sort of walks off. And I want to know, like, do you think who's in the I don't know if the right wording for me here is, but who is in the wrong, Haru or Ranta?
See,
Because
that's
Haru,
that's that's the thing about this situation, is that multiple things can be true at the same time.
mhm,
And I think that's one of my favorite parts about this show, is that it really kind of leaves certain situations open to the interpretation of the viewer as to that exact thing. But like, there's nuance to it, and it's really a case of, I think, the fact that they both bring solid points to the table, and at at the end of the day, they both have to respect each other if they want to be able to operate successfully. Because not only does, like, Haruhiro kind of is putting forward this expectation of teamwork means that we all get along.
Mhm.
But Renata is countering it by saying, no, teamwork means that I'm fulfilling my role to the party. If you guys don't like me, you don't need to like me. I'm fulfilling
Mhm.
my role to the party. I just showed you I could 1v1 a guy by myself. And Haruhiro brings up a valid point. We could have surrounded that guy and ended him easily. But Renata brings up a good point again. Can you guarantee that'll be the case every time? You can't.
No. And it,
And there was a situation that happens later where like they couldn't guarantee that, we can just surround some guy. It's realistic, and it's like portraying like, how, you know, within a team setting, you can really have like these situations where there could be things that are falling through the cracks, and people are going to be misunderstood and not feel like that they're like he even says like I don't feel like I'm fitting into the team well. He
mhm.
admits it too, and he's saying like, why is it my fault that I'm misunderstood? Like, you guys have weaknesses too. There's all of these new like nuanced points like just
Sure.
coming in like right into this conversation where it makes me feel bad for like giving Renata a hard time, such a hard time. I mean,
Mhm.
like the show does some things to inherently make you kind of
Not like him.
juxtapose and not
Sure.
like him, like the the flat chested stuff. But then later on we even see that like that's probably just coming from a place of insecurity, not meaning it's
Mhm.
okay, but that's him projecting insecurities.
Mhm.
Um,
And I do gotta say, Renata as a character in League, it's Ranta,
sorry,
Ranta for that. But no,
Ranta.
I totally agree. I because he brings up the point. Rontic brings up the point that like if it works, what's the issue here? Like it's working right now. What's your issue? Why am I sort of being penalized, or why are you talking to me when you can talk to anybody else about their shortcomings? But this is working, and this is
Yeah.
working for me, and this works for us because we killed all these people. But Haru is coming at it like, well, it's not always going to work. It's not
Mhm.
always going to be that way, and we have to make plans so everybody feels on the same page so we can have something to fall back on in case things go crazy. Whereas Ronta, he's like, oh, I'll just stab this guy. And I did it. And here we are. And he gets in fights later where it's like almost, or I don't know if it's this episode, where he gets like some near misses, like, oh, he's going like,
Next
what is he
episode, yeah.
doing? Like, what's going on? But he's doing it his own way. And I kind of do, I don't know, I do have some sympathy, again, not for the stuff that he says, but for the way he's feeling, because sometimes I do that as well. Like, I'm like, I think I'm the arbiter of what's right and wrong, and whether I am right or wrong doesn't make sense to doesn't make sense to me. But I know that I'm right, and I'm going to do it this way
Mhm.
sometimes in certain things, maybe projects or at work or something. I'm like, I'm going to do this because whether we discuss it or not, I know it's going to be done right, and I can do it. And I'm like, oh, that does kind of throw everything off a little bit, where the other people may feel uneasy or maybe hard to work with. So I do understand where he's coming from.
And that goes back to even when they brought Mary into the team and didn't talk to the girls about it either.
Hmm.
All of these team-based things. If you don't say it, people can't know. You
Hmm.
can't like everybody is not connected on some fundamental level. With telekinesis.
Sure.
I mean telepathy or whatever. Like everybody needs to voice out, and there needs to be that dialogue in order for people to feel understood, because if they're not expressing their how they feel about the things that are ongoing, like what part of it is a team then?
Hmm.
Like where does like I said, where does like being friendly with each other stop and cooperating as a team begin?
Hmm. So they get into the mine, or the is it Cyrene mine? Yeah, they get into the mine, to this forest, not forest, but uh agricultural level, and they hear death spots. Mary's in shock from what she hears because she's heard it before. And yeah, we get into episode 11 because it all kicks off here. So what happens in episode 11 between life and death?
The episode opens with a flashback briefly showcasing Mary's old friends before Haruhiro wakes her up from this trance. Regaining her composure, she continues to lead the party further into the mine, down to the foundry level. Mary brings the party to a ruined temple of Lumeris, allowing everybody a break until three lifeless husks would approach the party. Mary's old friends, taken by the curse, now move with a false life. Mary asks for cover as everyone does their part to give her an opening in order to cast her new spell, Dispel, removing the curse and putting each of them to rest. Mary thanks everyone for helping her accomplish her goal. However, Death Spots catches up to them and the party flees in avoidance. Complications with the escape would leave Ranta saving our hero before getting stuck without escape. Haru explains to the team what the next move should be as Ranta fights on.
So this episode was a lot for me. So
Yeah,
we open with Mary's old group showing how she used to be. You can even see in these like short little vignettes of how she used to be, how she used to be so much happier and such a juxtaposition to how we know her now. And I didn't even think, I know they dropped that noodle of knowledge there in the past, how they have to burn the bodies unless they come back.
completely
Completely
forgot
forgot
about it.
about that
Yeah.
and wasn't even thinking about how her old mates will be down there as the undead. And I was like, oh no, this
And that even
sucks.
recontextualizes her whole breakdown.
Yeah, because she knew it
Where
was
it's
going to
like
happen.
to me, it's like, oh no, she has to go back to the place where her friends died. But to her in that moment, it could have been like, am I ready to go back and put my friends to rest?
Sure, because they told us that she learned this spell most likely because she knew this was going to happen. At some point she knew she was going to have to come back, and she's doing it now. So because of the king's curse that the old party turned undead, and she is going around dispelling the magic and turning them to dust. And the one moment that they had at the very last one where he sort of grabs her the back of her head, and it was very emotional. I'm not even gonna lie, that was a lot.
Mary's voice actor like goes from doing those like very distinct like chants, like, protection of Lumerus, blah blah blah,
Hmm.
like goes from that to then saying dispel in the most heart shattering way. I could feel the impact in the VA's like delivery. It
Yeah.
was an incredible scene for sure. And then they hit you with that slide card.
Yeah, it was a lot. So they're dispelling the magic from the king turning them undead. Ranta has some issues with Haru again because he says he overhangs when really anything can work. So even right now, we're having issues between Haru and Ranta, how their fighting styles are, how things should work. Um, oh man, yeah. And then we get uh the idea again with connecting to the title of the thing, Grimgar of Fantasy and Ash, this implication that everything turns to ash. And they talk about it in episode 12 as well at the very end, that everything we are is going to end this way, and we are consistently faced with their own mortality quite a bit, especially because they're fighting monsters all the time. But anything can happen, and that consistent facing of death, it brings some emotional weight here in a lot of these episodes. And it's not lost on me that this is all heavier than a lot of other quote unquote isekais that we've seen or we're going to watch. So that's there. They all learned something during that battle. They take something away, which was really interesting to me, that they all learn a little bit about themselves in the final battle with her old mates, which is kind
Hmm.
of cool. I like that. So we have some action, and Ranta saves Haru, but Ranta saves Haru, but Ranta is left at the bottom of all this stuff. And I'm like, this is episode 11. What's gonna happen? We have one episode left. How much do we have left? Like, because there's so much to kind of like, this is the penultimate, this is leading up to the final thing, and I'm like, we have so much to go over. Will they have enough time? Claire says this is our second group of monsters that doesn't seem at all monstrous either. They're farming and just keeping to themselves. I didn't write that down, but I do want to talk about it. Yes, you are correct. It still consistently seems like the humans are bad.
Hmm. Well, I mean, the
Okay,
when
we're
the
okay with
even when
that. Okay,
even
okay,
even I mean, that's like,
we're cool with that.
are we surprised? Let me lead with that. But
Sure.
Cyrene Mine, they do present the information that like, they started to attempt to build a stronghold in order to keep a better grasp over the borderlands or whatever, and then kobolds came, invaded, and took it over. So like it is a place that was once owned by humans, but kobolds overran it.
But I thought they
Um,
were there first. And then humans came in, and then they ran humans out.
Maybe I
So
missed that
I don't know.
then.
No, no,
Shoot.
no. I don't know. I don't know.
But it, either way, it's like over however many years it may have been, if it's become a place where these beings like live and farm and stuff. It's like yeah,
What
who's the bad guy?
I still haven't seen them put a sword into any human, attack a village or anything. This is all for, the humans' little game. And it's really odd because they have an agricultural lifestyle here. The other goblins were playing chess. These are clearly, smart beings because they figured all this stuff out. And it's just really odd. Maybe we are the animals and maybe we are the demons. Maybe we're the Grimgars.
Maybe the real Grimgars were the friends we made along the way.
Yeah, I guess so, really, in this anime, because we're just making friends, but not making much sense of the world. Um, I like in this one how I think it was this one where Ranta was like, go save them. You're the leader, right? Because after all this bickering and stuff where we think that they're not getting along, they're not meeting heads, they're bashing each other sort of left and right, mostly Ranta bashing into Haru a little bit, rubbing
Sure.
against him. He still has that overarching idea like, well, you're the leader, come on, go save them,
Yeah.
do something, leave me behind, that's the right thing to do. And it was really cool to see that even though he's it really reinforces that he is just going on his own way, and he still understands the fundamental roots of what a party is and
Yeah.
his role in the party. So it
Because like he said, Haru, yes, you have weaknesses too. Everybody has strengths, everybody has weaknesses. I fulfill my role to the party as this off tank. You're still the leader. Somebody's the leader. That's you.
Mhm,
So I really think that that's why in that last conversation he really gives him the runaround and he gives him such a hard time, is because he's the leader. Like he that wasn't there before Minato died. Like
sure.
plain and simple. But then Haru comes into this position, and now there's questions that need to be answered, things that need to be figured out, and without somebody like Minato who's just so inclined and natural at fulfilling that role, I think that's why um Ronta Ron
Ranta.
Ronta was giving him such a hard time, is because he does want him to be a good leader. But it's like, now if you're going to pull this stuff out, like, let's talk about the problems because you have weaknesses too.
Hmm.
So again, these like, I think this show does good for like a rewatch because you get to see that like people are acting like the characters are acting like people in the show. They aren't acting like characters.
Sure.
They're acting like people with
Hmm.
nuanced emotions and feelings and characteristics that don't always come to the surface until the moment when it actually does matter.
For sure. Hello, Dan. You are driving. Thank you for your service. I appreciate coming still here and watching the anime hour. We have some, we're going to get talking about the next episode and some other surprises about what's coming up next in the anime hour saga. But we're on episode 11. And you said this is good for, we'll talk about it at the end. We'll talk about it at the end. Anyways, so episode 12, we gotta save Ranta. We're gonna figure it out. What's gonna happen? We have one of our members down there. We gotta save him. We have this death spots coming at us. We gotta get out of the mines. We gotta figure it out. Episode 12, the last episode of Grimgar Fantasy and Ash. See you tomorrow. What happens in episode 12?
uh, Ranta manages to get up a floor and hides out while the rest of the party begin their rescue efforts. Ranta causes a commotion, drawing the attention of many kobolds and thus the rest of the party. Escaping from death spots and regrouping with the party, Ranta escapes with everyone else up to the next floor, then taking a breather before moving out towards the exit. However, the party finds out that Death Spots is still in pursuit. Almost without reacting, Haruhiro restrains the beast and sends them both flying back down the cavern after giving Ranta a familiar send off. The party takes the opportunity to escape, leaving Haruhiro to face Death Spots alone. Coming to terms with the situation, everything that led him up to now, and everything that will happen from now, Haruhiro flow state commences, and without giving it any thought, he follows the thread to his victory and Despot's defeat. Haru would fall unconscious before waking up to Mary welcoming him back, spending some time at Minato's grave in contemplation before grounding himself in the moment and appreciating the things that he plans to never forget.
Oh, and it's all over.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Claire says in episode 12, everyone goes to get a coffee and find a replacement paladin for their Black Knight. That wouldn't be bad. I mean, that would solve a lot of stuff, but whatever. It's fine. They're friends. What are you talking about? So we're saving Ranta. He gets up a level. This didn't work for me. I knew we had to speed it along. A level? I knew we had to speed it along. We saw the one way out that they were going, and it got completely obliterated. The last thing we see is on episode 11, he's facing all of these monsters, and he just goes up a level, and we're like, okay, cool. How, though? And I would like to see that, and that really sucks, because I don't believe it. And that was like one major point for me. I was like, he's already fallen, and he is hurt, and how are we supposed to believe the last time we saw him, he's facing all these guys? How did this happen? And that was just
it. I don't think the show presented him as being injured from the fall, because he was ready to fight.
Sure.
They started shooting arrows at him and stuff. And when we see him again in this episode, he looks wounded and injured.
Okay.
And I mean, just like
fought out of there,
seeing his kit.
Okay.
I can just imagine him running that exhaust over and over and over again. Because he did do it before. He finds another way up.
Sure, because he did, in the past fight, he did exhaust like 4 times to try and get away from everybody. So I can believe that. Sure, he exhausted away.
But I understand when hey, it's time to escape the mansion and get out of danger. Cut to being, well, that sure was a crazy escape, wasn't it? Like, that's frustrating.
It was super jarring for me, and I was just like, what are they doing? Come on, give me something. Show him running away. That's fine. Show him running away, finding a little ladder.
15 seconds.
Yeah,
literally. It doesn't need to be long.
Claire says friends is a strong word. All I can really say is he's a guy who stood at my boobs a couple of times. True. Yeah, actually. Yeah, because we do see Yume. We do see Yume being like, well, I don't know about in the last episode, I don't know about helping him. I mean, I didn't like the way he called me flat chested, and but I do understand, and that was a really cool growing moment as well, or showing how good of a person she is. Not really a growing moment. It's like showing how good of a person she is, because she's like, I don't like what he does. I'm not a big fan of it, but like I know how I would feel being down there alone, and that sucks. And I don't want to put anybody through that. So that really showed her character. Not so much Ranta, and friends is definitely stretching it. Coworkers,
like, exactly. He says it himself. That you guys can all go play buddy, chummy friends on your own time. I'm gonna fulfill my party role, and that's it. If you don't like me, you don't like me. I don't care.
Ranta calls on his demon Zodiaco, and they're really funny. I love their laugh. They just kept laughing. I can't even do it. I tried to do it, the little like really fast. I'm like, yeah, whatever. That's super cool. I like that character a lot. I wish we would have seen him more. I wish it would have been more of that in the previous episodes. That would have been
and that's cool. Like something that I wanted to mention, like walking into this as well, is that this series is still ongoing in its light novel.
Sure, light novels.
And it's only gotten the first season as an adaptation. So like that doesn't mean that like I want to give it a free pass on everything that it kind of doesn't follow up on, but there's for sure a certain few things where it's like I hope that gets expanded on at least later in the light novel series, and if it does, that's great. But we're not going to know.
No. So Haru is there being the leader that they need, talking to the members about Ranta and about saving him. And I like that Yume actually ran out of arrows. That was really nice. I was like, because I knew she was getting low, and I was like, are they going to do the thing where they just have infinite arrows? But she's like, I ran out of arrows. I'm like, oh, dope, cool. I'm fine with that. Buzzy says the light novel is what got me into reading light novels. Oh, okay. So you've been a fan. How many light novels of them have you read? I don't even know how many there are. I didn't look into it. Any
I
more
think that the
information would be
first
great.
season is just an adaptation of like the first book or something like that, and
Sure.
there's like 9 or
Hmm.
so far.
Cool. I don't know.
So yeah.
Deathspot snaps Moguzo's sword and Haru sacrifices himself. And he didn't really think about it. Like, what do you
No,
think
yeah.
about him like immediately just doing it? And
I
uh
think that that's exactly the type of thing he would have done in the situation. Like it just given everything that we've seen from him up to now, like that's the second he hopped on top of him with his little that I was like, I know he's gonna, pull the
hero
everybody's
card.
going the hero card. He's going for it right now, and that's that's exactly what the story needs in this moment. This is like what completes his arc. Like what does it mean to be a leader to him?
Mm-hmm.
And in this moment, like he showcases it. It means that like at the drop of a hat, I'm willing to risk it all for the safety of my party, because I know at the end of the day, like they're it came right off the back of him talking about how they all come together to cover each other's weaknesses and stuff like that. So it really was like he comes to a realization of like everything that they've been doing, the efforts, what it all means, and then it culminates with like uh, the the biggest challenge so far, put it right in front of him with the only answer in that moment really to throw themselves off.
Mm-hmm. Hello, Cosmo. Hello, welcome to the stream. And Bubsy says, I read the first one and it gets good. You were talking about the biggest problem so far, but in this instance, when he gets to face Death Spots alone, um, it seems too easy. That he sees the light that we've been focusing on for this, past couple episodes. He has the talk about battle of life and death.
Mhm.
Will Mary come back to cast Dispel on me too? I hope so. Like, all that's great. I love that development. I love him talking to himself, figuring it out, and trying to work through what's going on. And then it just goes into slow mo, and he does his little thing, and he finds the spot that's going to kill Death Spots. It brings up so many mechanical questions for me that I
Sure.
can't let it go, because like I thought it was going to be, oh, they're down so much a level. Whenever the enemy is down to 10 HP, you can instant kill shot it. I thought that's what that move was in, game mechanics terms. But him Death Spots falling down wouldn't do that, I don't think.
To me, it's because this came out 7 years ago. To me, this is uh the predecessor of Tanjiro's opening thread, where he, because of
Sure.
his advanced smelling, that's how the show presents it, because he can smell out where there's the one move where if he strikes, it'll finish his enemy. And to me, that's kind of like what the representation of this like flow state is trying to do, is that like you have the perfect opportunity to swiftly defeat an enemy, and at first it seems like just with an attack, totally okay with that, but it kind of takes another step further into saying like you can almost create better conditions for yourself, because we see him get like a two-parter.
Mhm.
um it's this one specifically because Yume had already shot an arrow into one of his eyes. It's like kind of like if you take out his other eye, he's gonna blindly swing, and then you can easily riposte and kill him.
Sure.
And that's essentially what happened. But like you
Sure.
said,
Because he knocked Maguzo's sword into his body, sort of.
he
Um
cut Death Spot's sword off, and the
Oh, that's what it was.
momentum
Yeah.
of the cut threw it into Death
It
Spot's.
looks pretty cool.
It
It
looked
looks pretty
really
cool.
cool, and I did like feel like I was gonna rip my hair out in the moment, because
Yeah.
I was not expecting that to happen.
No,
Like
because it did
honestly,
happen like
the
super
way
fast.
everything was set up in this moment, I thought he was for sure gone.
Dead.
And then the flow state happened, and even then, I thought it was gonna be he blinded him, and then it like because it was showing the eye. but then it went for the follow-up attack, and it in the moment, I absolutely, like, yeah, loved it, lost my mind over it, but, that yeah, just, it makes me just wonder, yeah, like you said, mechanically, how these things could happen. Because then it's like, what's stopping him from doing just if when he had 2 eyes, then the flow state just shows him how to blind both eyes. Why not?
And
But
why they never actually, get into deeper why he can see it what seems like more than his master that taught him. He it seems like the way they kind of set it up that he sees it more than normally somebody would, somebody that has crafted their expertise for longer than him. Claire says, I just kind of figured it was rogue backstab, but it's kind of weird he can kill a boss with it. Yeah, it was the whole eye thing plus the other move, but yeah, I don't feel good with it yet. And I don't know if I will. It just didn't feel right. I'm just like in the back of my head, I'm like, oh, they have to clean it up really quickly. So that's what it felt more like. I understand what's happening. I
yeah.
do see what's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
happening, but more so, I'm feeling like, oh, they have to wrap this story up really quickly, and they're just kind of going through it. Bubsy says is expanded on in the light novel. I wish
Yeah,
they went
that's
into it more that the show. You know what? Now that you mentioned that it's a light novel, I would rather read this than
yeah,
watch it.
that's what I mean,
Um,
like, I love everything that we got, but I like, it's just one of those situations where the story that they're telling just doesn't have the capacity to be told in 12 episodes, honestly, or, honestly, you just take those first 2 episodes out and just kind of add
go
some
from there.
more add some not even just go from there, just take, I'm sorry, restructure those first 2 episodes to give some of the intrigue and setup stuff that we get later earlier. That way, it can have some more time to flesh some of this these
Hmm.
final moments out to be more satisfying and more developed.
Hmm.
Because they are satisfying in the moment and like at like what the story structure calls for. Um, and again, I did think that he was gonna die in this moment, and I'm glad. Like, I'm really glad that it went the other way with it.
Hmm.
But it
See, all the things that I had said before didn't make me believe that. I just believed that I never had that doubt in my head. So I guess I'm coming at it from a different way because I was just like, oh yeah, he's gonna figure it out. I never had the doubt that they wouldn't figure it out because I saw him always find the right spot every time that they need to. And besides Minato dying, I just didn't think that anything could go wrong. It seemed too perfect to me.
maybe
Um,
it's just me because I'm coming off the back of, Attack on Titan and Jujutsu Kaisen
okay,
viewings,
sure.
that I'm just ready for the worst to happen,
Yeah,
but,
just everybody's gonna die. Everybody dies down here. They're all zombies at the end.
but I
Sure.
was really in the moment, like, once he threw himself off and he's coming to terms and stuff, and he's like, "Mary can I hope Mary will come back and, cast a spell on me too." Like, the way he's coming to terms, and that's an I
It
didn't
could
mention
have
that, the way that he is able to come to terms in the situation and bring himself into that calm coolness, I feel like is another reason why he was able to pull off that flow state entry or whatever you want to call it. But because like every that narratively speaking, right when despots showed up and before now, he was panicking. It's like, avoiding despots. Oh, he's here, everybody run, get out of here. But that was the first time he stood in front of him and just calmed himself down, had control of all of his emotions. And so like narratively speaking, I there's enough there for me to have felt justified, but it's like I'm putting all of that together um after the fact, but also in the moment it was satisfying for me. So it leaves me in a
it
weird
did look
state.
pretty cool.
it, it,
Sure.
it leaves me in a weird limbo because like I know there's more there further on that could provide answers, but I also know that yeah, I'm just not we don't
Gonna
have them in in this bubble right now.
no. Because then right after that, everything seems to be fine. He wakes up with Mary. She's back to her old self, seemingly. She seems happier with Haru. I think they're going to get together at some point. And Haru goes back to Minato's grave, and we get that whole discussion there with him. I did write here that in these last 4 episodes, or last three, I think the animation got a lot better. Like it looked better. I don't know what it was. The colors and the way it was all the fighting and stuff, I was like, this is really good. Like animation wise, loved it. got better over time for me. Just
I don't
looking
know
through
if
it.
I noticed that.
Okay.
I felt like it was pretty consistent.
Yeah, not saying it was bad before, but it
No,
did like
I guess
get
you're right. Like
better.
it got like
Like
better
this shot,
choreographed. Yes.
like
The and
oh,
like but I also think that it also has maybe, the stories being told from Haruhiro's perspective. He's the first person narrator, so you could even chalk that up to a
him
decision like, him gaining, more clarity into the world, et cetera, et cetera. It can be thematic and intentional. Not sure if it is, but that's definitely a possibility.
So he says, day by day, we live and get better, living to meet our future selves. And he has this conversation with Minato and about, being a leader, about going forward and all this stuff. And it was sort of an end there. And we'll see you tomorrow. Um, this, we got to start rating this anime. So we're done. We're done talking about Grimgar, Fantasy, and Ash. That's our complete talk about it. We got to rate it. We got to put it on the scale here. We rate animes on 3 different criteria: animation, storytelling, and vibes. And we give it a rating and we put it against all the other anime we've seen this season. And we're going to talk about it. So, animation, I think we both agree is great. But where would you give animation for Grimgar Fantasy and Ash?
I'm pretty sure I'm giving animation an S on this one. Like maybe it like slinks maybe into an S minus at times, but I think it really puts on a showing for an S in terms of an argument for its art style. And the fact that this is a 7-year-old anime and it is held up incredibly well, and
Sure.
it's far like just the art style itself lends so much to the creative direction that the show is able to take itself in.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm giving it an S for animation. Where would you rate it for animation?
Yeah, I mean, animation 10 all the way, 10s across the board. I love it. I love the watercolor backgrounds. I love all the stuff. I love the super like uh you know the detail on everything, all the characters, even like the detail in the fighting styles. We mentioned that before in a past episode, but the detailing in how they move and things like that, I really enjoyed that aspect of all the fighting. I wish there was more, but animation for me is a 10. I think it says haven't seen an episode of this anime, but having you guys explain it was like listening to a video essay of it. Cool, that's what we're here for. So sometimes if you don't like an anime, you can just listen to us talk about it and go through it, and you'll get the gist of it. Sometimes if you didn't watch up to episode 12, you got a recap of what's going on. We got to get going because we have a lot of stuff to talk about. Storytelling, what would you give storytelling?
So storytelling is where like I did struggle to rate this show, but I'm giving it an A. I'm gonna give it an A for storytelling. It didn't have the strongest start. It really recovered its ground and found its pacing. I feel like with the introduction of Mary, I think the way the Mary's whole like kind of arc was structured really carried a lot of emotional weight throughout the show into like leaving me feeling rewarded for not initially taking a liking to this character, but seeing them let their walls down and their emotions out. Really really enjoyed that. There's a few things that we talked about. I now right now in this moment I can't bring them up because like in broad strokes I thoroughly enjoyed this story. It was an emotionally rich and satisfying story to experience, in my opinion. So on that accolade, I'm giving it an A. Where are you going to put it for storytelling?
Storytelling, give it like a 7. I did not enjoy this. Would I watch it again? No, I would not watch it again. Would I read the manga? Possibly, or the light novel? Sure. I mean, I get it. I get the story, and I'm cool with it. I liked how they dove into more emotional beats. I like how they went into stuff we'd never seen in anime. But will I go out of my way to recommend it to somebody? I wouldn't. I thought of it more. Oh, well, they didn't even talk about like where they're coming from because they got isekai here. There's a lot of stuff that
That's what,
for
like,
me
I
wasn't
really hate the fact that we only get a season 1 of this,
sure.
because this is definitely one of those times where after
But
the show I would have continued to watch into further for to get those answers.
from what I read online after watching it, I don't think they ever go into it.
Oh,
I
really?
couldn't I couldn't find an answer. I looked all over Reddit and stuff like that, and I was like, "There's no answer here." They just came out of nowhere. So, well, Thicket says that was a fast I would not watch this again.
I
Actually made
was
me
I was
laugh.
holding in my laugh to let you speak. But I
Because it
wanted
feels
to
it feels a lot like to me like The Walking Dead, because I watched The Walking Dead and like it doesn't matter now where they are or where they came from, but now they're here. And there are other things like that too. And there's other people that might have come into this world like them and surviving zombies. But like just like The Walking Dead, they focus on the stuff that I don't want to care about. Like you make me care about it, but I don't want to. Walking Dead, they're focusing on these long stories about all these new characters that bring them in and all this stuff when I really just want to see the zombie fighting. I want to see the zombies die and I want to see you go
Sure.
into the
So
battle and
you
stuff.
want a zombie survival, but they're putting a drama in front of you. They're putting a
Sure. And
character-driven
with
drama.
this one, it's like they're isekai into this world. We don't care. It for some reason they're here. All right, we're in this new world now. And then when what they give me is, in this beautiful fantasy world of great, gods and stuff that we never got to talk about. We got Zodiaco into it, and I wanted more of that stuff, and I wanted more fighting. I do like the whole, that they started from the bottom. I understand that they're nothing, and we're supposed to follow the story of nothing, but they give you this huge template, and we're stuck in this little contained story, and I'm like, yeah, do a thing, please. So it just
Are you familiar to draw a parallel with video games right now? Are you familiar with the Shenmue games?
I've heard of it. I don't know about it.
That's like, Shenmue and GTA, and that's like how I think of like Grimgar and something like Sword Art Online, where just like they're going the same direction, but they're on two different paths.
Sure.
Like, and whether or not that's a good thing is to be said, and objectivity and all that. So I definitely see what you mean, where they're not giving you
No.
what you're expecting out of this
No.
story, whereas I'm in this boat of like being pleasantly surprised by this, being my expectations were thoroughly subverted in what I thought I was going to get in this
Mhm.
show, and I think that's why I'm left in a positive state after watching it.
Dickus says, I heard SAO, my ears peaked. No, not that. Bubsy said, just an FYI, there's 19 volumes of the light novel. See, I think it's the right story, and I'm fine with the story, but the medium didn't work for me here.
Yes, I understand.
Because the anime, when I watch an anime, I want something else. When I read a book or, read words on a page, I'm okay with taking that time to dive into characters, to dive into their stories and dive into interactions between them. But when it's presented on me, on a screen for 12 episodes, and you're showing me this other cool stuff, I want that cool stuff. But that's why I do think I would like this better. Because some manga I really do enjoy more than the shows. Because of that, I can take my time, or I can, save some for later and really think about what's going on. And I don't think for me this one hit me as an anime to watch. Again, I would really like to possibly get the first light novel. Claire says, have you heard about the three blades? The three blades. Yes, the three blades. Running on time.
Yeah.
Vibes. Where do we put it on vibes?
I'm giving it an S. I really liked it. I enjoyed my time with the show with these characters. There's things that I wish could have happened, but the more I think on the things that I wish, we would have gotten, it's it's almost like I start asking for too much, and I want dinner and dessert, and this show's just giving dinner, and sometimes that's okay because I'm full after watching the show for sure. Like I said, it was to me an emotionally satisfying and thematically rich story that provided a lot of questions, didn't give a lot of answers, but a lot of the questions that it did provide were along the lines of moral quandaries where it's not about the answer to the question. Sometimes it's just about the fact that you're asking them. A lot of that in this show, from what I was able to pick up from it. Wish that there was a continuation, but there is not. S on vibes. Where would you put the vibes?
I gave vibes like a 6. I didn't like it. I was there for it. I was here. I was thinking about it like what's what's an instance where I would recommend this anime? Because I don't know if you could recommend this anime. Would you recommend this anime?
I would I would recommend this anime.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, that's the
I
beauty of
mean,
the
it's
show. We
like,
have
I mean,
different opinions
yeah.
for sure.
Um, but like again, it's like I recommend this anime not under the context that like this is a great anime to watch. I think this is just a beautiful story to experience. This is not like a great anime, but like we episode 1 we were, we talked about what constitutes being an anime, and the concept of anime being a medium instead of a genre. And like I just find this show so intriguing in so many different ways. And again, after having a thorough catalog of animes that I have watched in the past, it really subverted my expectations in a lot of ways, where there are certain scenes where I thought things were going to go one way and they went another. Like I just really can't quite put into words how much I loved that conversation between Haruhiro and Ranta.
Ronta.
It just really displays how complex people are, and I really just haven't watched another show that I can think of, save a few that really demonstrate human emotion and the nuances of
Sure.
it as well as this one. And that's why I rate it where I've rated it, for
Okay.
sure.
Claire says, I found it refreshing, but not very well paced, and the execution was only okay. I feel bad because I was thinking about it. When would be a time for me to recommend it? And I thought about the perfect time when I'm having a house party and we got some music going, and I want to seem cool and have some cool stuff on the TV with no volume. And I would have this anime up there because it looked very pretty. I feel bad because that's what I came up with before you said all that, but here we are. And
No, and
I do understand. Yeah,
that's the beautiful thing about, stuff like this though, is that we each kind of take what, we're it the themes of the show double back onto this conversation, honestly. Like we each experience that in our own way because we're
mhm.
people with our own experiences and emotions, and we felt those things in our own ways. And eh, y- yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. Sorry. I
Another
could keep
way to
going.
recommend it is if someone says they what they want to watch mid. Yeah, if their favorite anime is Jujutsu Kaisen, I'll tell them to watch this anime. Um, the pacing wasn't there. It should have been set in a faster pace because it was only 12 episodes, which is probably why the light novels did so well. But the anime only has mixed reviews. Again, at times it was boring. I understand the emotional beats were there, but I feel like it could have been pushed a little faster. It could have been, I understand the time that they needed to take, but again, at times it felt like it was taking too much time. And I was like, oh my goodness. What did you just say about JJK? That it's mid. So we got to get going.
We gotta get
We
going.
rated it. We rated the anime, and the final results are for Grimgar of Fantasy and Ash. There it is. I rated Grimgar of Fantasy and Ash a B. Matt S ranked on Grimgar. I did not
Bam.
expect that, to be honest. I didn't know you liked it that much. That's really cool. I'm really glad you liked it.
Can't
We
tell
have it.
you another time I've cried so much watching a show.
See,
I
I
mean,
didn't feel it.
no,
I didn't
yeah.
cry. Okay.
I was a
Yeah.
little baby.
Okay, that's awesome. No, that's really cool. I on other anime, I has definitely hit me like that as well, and some of the other ones that we've watched this year. But here it is on the list. This is the last time that we're gonna use this list. This is the last time that you're gonna see these anime on the screen when we do this here, because this is season one.
I'm sorry.
What?
That
Still
keeps
don't like the
killing me
Future
right
Diary
now.
disrespect. Well, it's gonna be ending today. Today's the last time that you're gonna see Future Diary down there. And that's the last time we're going to use this list, because after today, it's the start of season 2. And we are still going to be picking up new animes. We're still going to be picking out new animes from the anime chest, just like we've been doing it. And we're going to do that next week. But next week, we're also going to be doing something very special, because we have to commemorate, and hopefully do this yearly. We have to commemorate the time that we spent on the animes that we watched throughout the year. And we're going to be doing something very special. And it is called the Crunchy Awards. The Crunchy Awards, hosted by Jules and Matt. The Jules and Matt Anime Hour Crunchy Awards will be honoring the anime that have touched our hearts and give the golden Crunchy Rolls to the winners. So be live on Twitch next Wednesday, same time as today, but we're going to be doing the Crunchy Rolls. We have
Mark that date, November
mark
29th.
the date. We are going to be doing the Crunchy Awards. So that that little golden Crunchy roll there is made by Rex Zambi, They made that, and they made that for us. It was super cool. So that's what we're gonna be doing. We're gonna be rating, not rating, but we're gonna be giving awards to some of the animes that we really enjoyed, and giving them an
The
award and
best
honoring
of
them.
the best
The
will be receiving a crunchy.
Yeah, they're gonna be receiving a crunchy. Big ol' yeah. Uh, so Future Die is winning all those rewards, right? Oh, well, we'll see. We'll see. Maybe we'll
Gonna
have
take
a
take 'em
worst
all home.
of yeah, worst anime award. We should add that. But we have a couple award
The Stinky Tuna Award.
we have a couple award categories that we're going to be talking about next week, and then we're going to pick a winner, and that's going to be like the final of the year. This was the best in this category, and we have that. We're going to start planning that out, and we're going to be doing that show next week. So next week, the Crunchy Awards presented by Jules and Matt Anime Hour. There, I'm super excited. It's really cool, and it's going to be a perfect way to send off the anime that we've seen, and then start fresh because we're naked. We're gonna start something new the next year. So next season, after next week, we're gonna be starting from scratch. We're gonna go start from the bottom. Here we are. Pick a new anime next week as well to be the first anime of season 2, and we're gonna be adding a couple little stuff. And maybe when we finish an anime, you may have an input on what the final rating will be. So stay tuned for that. Future Diary is more like future diarrhea. Mama. That fucking but that is in Grimgar of Fantasy and Ash. And next week, the Crunchy Awards hosted by us. And Matt, whenever you're not isekai'd into a world from somewhere we don't know about, where can they find you?
You can find me on my Twitch, sometimes streaming at Matt_Galley. Follow me on all my socials. Just add an ITS at the front. Make it ITS Matt_Galley. And when we're not here with you talking about how much you love JJK, where can the people find you?
Jules the Human on all social media. JULES the Human on YouTube, on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. I've been reading a lot of manga, so talk to me about manga. Join the Discord if you aren't over there. Watch this show. If you missed any of this show, you can watch it on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/JulesTheHuman, or you can look on Spotify. Spotify, just look up the Jules and Matt Anime Hour, and you can watch it there with your own eyes. You can almost never find Matt on his Twitch. In fact, you're statistically more likely to find him literally anywhere else. I think we're going to play some games right now. So yes, that is very true. So that is the end of season 1. And next week, the Crunchy Awards. And we're going to be picking the best of the best from this whole year of all the anime we watched, and then starting a brand new season. So look forward to that. And we'll see you next week. Hope y'all have
Bye.
good night.